You're listening to the Awkward High-Five podcast. You can follow along in your book. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this.
Man, listen, I would just appreciate it if both of y'all would just take your shoes off me. And this is brand new carpet. You're tracking mud in here. Man said you got British Knights on. I ain't seen anybody wear them since 1987.
Ow! What the hell are you doing?
Ted told me to kill him.
Well, how about a little fucking discretion here?
See right there. You see that? You catch it?
See what?
You used to not give a fuck about discretion. I seen you pull somebody's jawbone off. I seen it. You was ruthless. You was ruthless, man.
What the fuck, man? You shot me in my stomach. I'm gonna die now, probably. Then I had you all over here for dinner. Fish tacos.
Fish tacos. That's got to be the funnest crew in Hollywood.
Wait, I'm sorry. You think you could talk over my sound effects? What's the funnest crew?
That whole
Judd Apatow.
I'd be like Craig, but not even. Not like those immediate guys. Like I guess it's like the degenerates of those guys, like Craig Robinson and Danny McBride. Like This Is the End crew.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Craig Robinson is the funniest human being.
Yeah.
Actually, those two. Whenever they're in a movie, even if they're subparts, you know, they're going to be fucking hilarious. Like, yeah, This Is the End is a great.
Craig was probably sweating all over shit.
Yeah. The best part of This Is the End is when they're all up in the room and they're all freaked out when they finally know that, like, or they start realizing that this has something to do with, like, heaven and hell or whatever. And he's like, and they're talking about how they're actors, and Craig Robinson's like, yeah, you know how he's like, we've been on the beach in our drawers and it's like wintertime, we trying to act like it's all warm and shit or whatever. You know, that was probably not what he said, and probably a very
I know what you mean.
racial
fucking
movie. But yeah, he's fucking hilarious. Welcome to the Awkward High-Five podcast. My name is Devin.
And I'm Rich.
And we are doing a complete overhaul here. I think we're going to get rid of the movie quotes. We're going to get a new opening. We had mentioned it on the last podcast, or I think I just said it in passing or something like that. And as we do, I got a bunch of emails and stuff like that. And
no one's saying no, don't change it.
No, one person said the movie quotes are cool, but here's the thing with the movie quotes is they're not sustainable. I love hearing them, whatever, but like I said last podcast, one, they're going to run out sooner or later, so I might as well cut it off at the pass. And then number two, we probably would get sued at some point. Like, right. We're not really supposed to.
And we're guaranteed to talk movies at some point, so clips will come and go.
And then the beginning, the woman at the beginning, turned the page thing.
Yeah.
Number one, I realized that I ripped that off of somebody.
Really?
Yeah. When I did that idea, I came up with that idea. We needed a beginning and an end to the podcast to say this is the Awkward High-Five podcast, and then at the end to say to go to the website for the So I had to drum up something pretty quick. I hired a voiceover artist to do the talking or whatever, and then I was like, what am I going to put this to? And I thought that it would be a fun thing to do, like the old books that we used to, the record books that we used to have when we were kids, it would be like whatever it was,
Sesame Street
or Disney or something, and turn it along, and that was the whole concept. When I even emailed the chick, I sent her I found one on YouTube, and I was like, this is what.
Oh, we didn't use somebody we knew. You like found a random.
Yeah, I hired a voiceover artist.
Did you?
Yeah. and I sent her a clip of it, and I was like, this is what I'm going for, and she even sent back something that wasn't what it should have been. Like, I sent her like the warm kind of thing on the record, and she gave me like a more like
pretty good.
No, but like her voice that you hear before this, when it's like, well, you're listening to the Awkward High-Five podcast. Yeah. I brought the pitch down on that, and I slowed it down, because the real raw file of that is like some chick being like, you're listening to the Awkward High-Five podcast.
Oh,
like
really?
She was doing like
vaudeville.
Oh no, like a news thing, like and at the top of the hour,
right?
And then I fudged it and I made it work. And then I was like, this is cool. We turned the page when you hear the sound, and then at the end the sound comes in. And then I've been, and it was always supposed to be like a stopgap. I was like, I'll change that eventually when I come up with a better idea. It's now been 3 months of AHI5, and I haven't come up with a better idea. People have said in passing that it's annoying, and if you're one of those people out there that are annoyed by it, I understand.
Really? Worry about some other shit.
No, no, I know, but I get it. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Damn, those 2 seconds out of your life. Sorry.
But then I did realize that while I was thinking about it, because me and you have been talking this week about how we're going to do new stuff and we're trying to come up with new ideas.
Just refresh it a little bit.
Yeah, refresh that motherfucker.
Yeah. Give it a refresher.
Yes. All right, I'll explain what a refresher is in a second.
The best thing ever.
But I wanted to out myself because I realized that I ripped that off Amy Schumer style.
Really? That new? I thought you were going to like give me something from the 80s.
No. I'm just saying, you know how everyone's accusing Amy Schumer of stealing people's jokes now?
Oh, in her fashion.
So I'm saying in an Amy Schumer, even though I'm not, whatever, I like
Let's
Amy
go with
Schumer.
Carlos Mencia.
In a Carlos Mencia style, I ripped off a band that we used to play with all the time, who are great guys, and I did
SOV?
Yeah.
Holy shit! And what was their beginning?
On their 7-inch, I believe it was.
I thought it was something Star Wars though.
But it was the beginning of those Star Wars books.
Book.
Yeah, and it was like when you hear R2D2 turn the page, and it was like and then the 7-inch.
But that happened subconsciously. You didn't know you were doing
right.
that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I didn't know until now. But now that I know that I ripped that off, and it was just like this deep down thing that like kind of surfaced. I mean, we did grow up on those books,
right?
You know, so it's not like I just totally took this thing.
Yeah.
But however,
that's not what popped into your mind when you created the idea. You weren't like, oh, SOV. You just found out months later. It clicked in.
It just popped in my head like out of nowhere. I haven't listened to that SOV 7-inch in, I couldn't even tell you the last time. Although 90s. It's amazing. It's great. They're a great band and they're great
Which
dudes.
one is it?
It was the 7-inch, the American Standards. Maybe it was called.
I thought
it had this.
Is it the one with that was mostly Star Wars with the black and white? What's the different song on it? 'Cause that was their first one. That had the black and white, what's the difference? And All That Really Matters, that song. That was like the second song. I forget what the first song was, but it was one of their hits. Then they came out with American Standard. That was their second.
Well, it was the one that they did in the colored. I still have it. It came out in the colored vinyl.
Yeah, that's their second.
Yeah, right. Or whatever. It had the song American Standard.
Right, yeah.
And so I ripped that off. So if anybody from Chris or DJ or any of those guys from SOV listen to this,
Sanford,
I'm sorry that I ripped your shit off, and I'm sure you don't care. Just in the way that I don't give a fuck if somebody talked about the Lint 7-inch from the fucking 90s. Who gives a shit? But now that I know that I subconsciously parallel thinking kind of took that idea or whatever, it's time to change it.
Yeah.
So sooner or later there'll be an overhaul on the Awkward Hi-Fi podcast, and it'll be for the better. I'm thinking about doing one of those like real radio intros where it's like
montage,
and then like Devin, and then says something I say, and then Ritchie, and
like clips of shit that we say.
Yeah,
a couple of Ziggy noses in there.
Even though the Ziggy nose, you took that from someplace, yeah?
Just the fact that it's a Ziggy nose. I've never heard anyone else call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that came from a movie
because
or
that's
something.
just what I picture.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Ziggy's nose,
just in the form and the kind of droopage that it portrays.
I wonder if there's anybody under the age of 30 that even knows who Ziggy is.
Probably not,
because he was. You know,
I don't think I ever read Ziggy. I just knew he was a thing.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's a weird reference. But however,
you know what it is.
When I see people who listen to the podcast and they talk to me, the first thing they always say to me is they're like Ziggy. Like I've had people like come up to me and be like, "Yo, I listen to that podcast," and then point to me and be like, "Ziggy knows, right? Ziggy knows," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Ziggy knows is cool."
Yeah, I wish we could find this girl and bring her on the show
just to see it again.
Yeah, and then we could actually put something on
I would like, yeah.
Facebook.
If you're a woman out there listening to the Awkward Hi-Fi podcast and you have a Ziggy nose that you want to present to us,
and you're all proud about it,
we would like to see it.
Because I'm under the impression that it's not necessarily a bad thing, only because I watched Clerks 2 and dude was like, "You wouldn't want to be with a girl with an oversized clit," like shocked that other dude didn't like big clit.
Right.
So I guess there's dudes that like it.
So you watched a made-up Hollywood movie, and then that's the reason that you justify.
That's what I base most of my decisions and life thoughts on.
Well, I'm a single gentleman,
Make-believe.
and I'm on the dating scene. You know what I mean? Maybe I need to ramp up my activity and like kind of just start. Maybe I'll do like a speed dating thing where I like
look for Ziggy noses?
Well, like I'll just start burning through more chicks, and so hopefully, like I could randomly find one. Because I personally
never had a Ziggy. Or something maybe even close to a Ziggy?
Well, I mean, there's definitely been ones that have been bigger than other ones.
Yeah,
I mean, that is for sure.
Yeah, they're not all going to be buttons.
Yeah, right. But
the wishbone with the panic button.
But no, like I cannot report that I've actually, in the manner that you've spoke about the one that you had to, were so stunned that you had to actually go into a possum position.
Right. That's an extreme situation. Not every guy has experienced that. That's like a traumatizing, experience.
Right. But they got to be out there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So
they're all over the internet.
So how many girls do you think that I'll have to be with until I find one of my own? Because I got a few years.
If I'm going to go by my own ratio, I would say like 2 out of every 2 out of every 20 is a Ziggy nose.
Oh, come on. I've been with more than 20 girls. And
you haven't had a Ziggy?
No, of course not.
Well, maybe you just got lucky. Because I'm just running into Ziggy, I guess.
All right. So, but
unless I just dig trannies or something.
Well, you're saying 2, like your fat lip or something. You're saying 2 out of 20, so that means 1 out of 10.
Right.
And any guy.
Well,
And any guy's been with at least 10 girls, so you're saying that every guy at that point has experienced a Ziggy nose, which is not true.
Not this kind of Ziggy. Because the first Ziggy is Ziggy, and then the second Ziggy is one that was just kind of a little bit big. So she wouldn't fall into Ziggy, though.
Oh, so you were using your own, like, experience.
Yeah.
And you're saying 2 out of 20.
Yeah.
But you've been with more than 20 women.
Right. I was just giving a ratio.
But that's not the ratio.
Then I don't know how ratio works. Because I figure if I'm going to say 2 for the first 20, after the nothing else is going to happen for the rest of the numbers. So you already got rid of those 2.
No, but then those numbers on top of it become the number. Number one, you can't do a ratio without whatever. We're not going to talk about mathematics.
I don't get.
But here's
math.
the thing: if you're going to use your own personal test group,
all right,
right? So let's say you've been with 50 women, and you've only seen 2 Ziggy noses.
You lay down the 50.
Then that's 2 out of 50 is the ratio.
Okay, all right.
If you're going to use that as an example.
All right.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I thought you could like double the bottom number and then it would still be that because it didn't reach double it yet. So it would have to
know what that means.
It would have to reach double of it for the number of Ziggies to change. I don't know. I don't know how math works. I never did good at math, but I'm saying I'm not gonna, get on this mic and shout out how many women I've been with in my life, but I'm gonna say
and nobody cares by the way.
Right. So
we don't need to fucking bounce our machismo out here.
You don't want to hear the memoirs or what's it called, the dentist memoirs.
Although people know probably more than you're even comfortable with about your sex life already from this thing.
Right, I got no problem with that. I really don't.
Yeah,
I'll talk it all day. But that's one thing I don't want to say. But anyway, me personally, I've bumped into some Ziggy, but the first one was full Ziggy. But I wouldn't call the ones after that Ziggy. I would just call them, beefy ones.
So were you on the second Ziggy, the half Ziggy?
Yeah.
Were you like, oh no, it's another Ziggy, and you like started getting fucking finish him?
No, I went right in. Yeah, there was no problem with it. It was just a little bit big. It wasn't anything that scared me to the point of me thinking there's a chance it's a dick, It was just some, some meat.
See, I'm going to have to say that honestly, I don't think I've ever even come close.
All gash.
It's all been fine. If there's one thing you need to know about me, Rich, all my close friends know this, is that I'm a hood guy. Mm-hmm. When it comes to ladies, I'm all about the hood.
Hood figure.
And I've seen some nice hoods. But I've never got in on that.
All right, you know what I hate?
And let me also say another thing real quick before you tell me what you hate is that
besides everything
is that, and for all the ladies out there that had the opportunity to be with Dev Dog knows
he works the hood
that the oral, that's 75% of my game. That's my big opener. I don't really have the best closer in the world, but I got a giant opener.
You got it.
Yeah. What was you gonna say?
I hate those pussies that just don't even exist. It's just like if you put your 2 knuckles together and then just hang a teeny piece of meat right there. That's all it is. There's no lip. It just looks like a knuckle.
Okay, so do you
like an Oriental pussy?
Would you? Okay,
shallow.
Right.
You bottom out.
Right, or that bone that
cervix
that you have. Yeah, that you have to choose. Which now look,
I always go left.
All right.
I don't choose. My dick chooses left.
It's a weird when they say like, you know, coming to a fork in the road, you literally you come to a fork in the road.
More of a Y.
What? No, but when they say coming to a fork in the road,
Oh,
that's
like
what it means.
Expression fork in the road.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You literally sometimes while
gotta-
you're having sex. And now look, I know that my dick isn't as big as yours, so I'm sure that you run into this as much.
It's all about the woman.
You
though.
probably run into this many more times than I have. But there's been a few times where, yeah, you
hit
get
the fork in the
you
road.
get to you hit the fork in the road, and you either take the road less traveled,
Right.
And honestly, I don't know what direction my
You can't
dick.
remember?
No.
Because, like, for me, if you went right, it'd be, like, overgrown shit and, like, tumbleweed. And if you go left, it's, like, big city, people chilling. Because I'm always going left.
Oh, so just because you naturally go left,
Yeah.
that's where the big city and the fun is.
Yeah.
What if I'm going right? What if I'm more of a fucking a rural kind of guy?
That would be awesome because that would mean both of our dicks were in the same pussy and mine decided to go left and yours decided to go right.
That's going to be the next progression of porn. Is they're going to have like instead of like the DP
Inside
yeah,
the
like
shit.
it's going to be two dicks in a vagina, and then one goes left and one goes right. It looks like a fucking flux capacitor.
And the cervix is wearing white gloves and a whistle.
It's got those airplane
Batons,
wands trying
yeah.
to fucking land an airplane. I don't know. What do you think, women out there?
Yeah.
How many times is that what a cervix is?
Yeah, that's the cervix because one time.
Now I sound like you asking to draw a clit drawing.
Because it was happening a lot or whatever. I kept going left, hitting it, going left, and it got to the point where some pain occurred, so she had to get checked out, and the doc said it was a bruised cervix.
So you actually bruised a woman's cervix.
Yeah.
By hitting the center and then going left.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dick's tougher than me.
Yeah, I can see that. I remember the first time that happened to me, I was like, what is going on? Is that a baby? Like, I didn't know.
It's hard. It's hard but smooth.
It feels like, I don't know why we're talking about this.
Teeny little skull.
But yeah, no, but you actually feel kind of the point of it. Like there's like
Mine's more of a round, the sphere.
No, but it's like you could tell that if
It splits.
you could tell. Yeah, it's like, you know what it's like? It's like the what's that building in New York? The one that's like gets real thin at the end. I don't know. What is it called? Fucking everybody at home is listening to this right now.
What, on the corner of Greenwich and Bleecker? That one?
What's it? The Iron something?
Oh, then I don't know what you're talking about.
Everybody knows it, and everybody at home right now is saying you're a fucking idiot.
So you're researching this building so you can compare it to a cervix?
Yes, because I want you to know.
This is what our life is.
Fucking why can't I think of the name of this fucking building? Anyway, everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's like a triangle.
Yeah, they always show it.
It's like a triangle, but it gets by the corner. It gets into a real thin.
I know
right.
what you mean. It's like a symbol of the
Right.
village.
And that, if you were to take your dick out and then just ram your dick against the thin part of that, and then your dick has to decide whether to go left or right, that's what I guess the cervix feels like. The flaretron.
Flatron.
Flatron.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Yes. So a woman's cervix is like the flatron building. That's what we're trying to say here.
Now I'm always going to think of it. I'm going to visit the building just to get a good...
Next time me and you are roaming around the city, we're going to walk to the flatron
I'm
building,
gonna
and
go
you're going to
left.
go left, and I'm going to go right.
Oh, Lord.
Man. So,
Blame it on the Tito's.
speaking of New York, the cranes are falling out of the sky. Did you see that?
Yeah, did anybody die?
One dude died.
Really?
And then a couple of people got hurt.
A pedestrian?
But that's, I don't know that, but I think so. But
That sucks.
That is surprising, though.
How do you not know that's falling? It's like you hear...
But how do you, here's the thing. Did you see the picture of it? It takes up almost
I
2
know
blocks.
it's big. Yeah, I know it's
It
big.
goes like from an avenue across another avenue halfway down the next block. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty fucking big.
Right.
Like that thing had to fall.
Yeah, but width-wise, don't you think you could scatter either left and right on this bitch?
I don't know if you'd be able to judge that falling out of the sky because
Right. You think it's going to fall 2 blocks away and it falls on your face.
or even if it's coming close, and also it's like ironworking, like X's and stuff. So it's not like a solid thing.
Right.
So like it had to be hard. I'm sure whoever got hit by it, and I don't know this. I haven't looked into it that
I
far.
can't even think about that.
But here's the thing. That shit happens all the time in New
I
York.
know.
People die in New York from shit falling off of buildings every day. An air conditioner, a fucking pot, or anything.
real,
they
man.
just don't. The thing that happens in Manhattan is like shit like that happens all the time. They just don't talk about it because they don't want people to be afraid walking down the street of Manhattan. But when a crane this big falls, I mean that's got to be a story. And honestly, the fact that this thing fell in Lower Manhattan and only one
was it Lower Manhattan? I thought it was
Yeah.
like 57th.
No, I'm pretty. You know what?
I could be wrong.
Yeah. The fact that this thing fell and only one person died is pretty fucking surprising.
That's true.
I remember when I was working on 14th Street during Sandy, and I couldn't even get into the city for like a week or a week and a half because the path was shut down, everything was shut down. But then when I finally got into the city, they had been showing it on the news, but there was that crane that was on top of that building that they were building, and that was hanging off the side, and everyone was freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And a week and a half later, I went into the city and I was walking down the street, and I just looked up and I saw it like. This crane.
Everyone got comfy with the crane.
Yeah, like I don't know how they got it up. They didn't. I don't think they ever like gave another thing after that. But the crane was still a week and a half later dangling from a building, and it was one of
They probably secured it. They can't just be like, "Well, it's not budging."
Yeah, they probably did. Whatever. But to look up and just see a crane dangling from this giant skyscraper was one of the weirder experiences that I've ever had.
That's crazy. Well, shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's an earth, it's land, but then you put all these fucking people on this little island.
Yeah, it's an island, too.
And most of it was built because of people throwing garbage and construction and just built up the land just from all this shit we threw. And then you build all these buildings on top of it, put all these people in there, all these fucking cars. How could you not have accidents? You know what I mean? The world isn't supposed to be like that, you know?
Yeah, right. No, totally.
We're supposed to be like running through the woods naked, eating fucking berries.
I wish we were running through the woods.
I know. We would have no problems.
Well, sooner or later we might even be, because I'm pretty sure that civilization itself is going to topple down upon us.
Fucking hope so.
I'm really starting to think, and this might be a little out there, but I'm really starting to think that we might see at least the downfall of the United States of America.
Why not?
It might be when we're 60 or 70 if we live that long, which would be great. But I think that we might, like the people that are coming up right now, like babies that are being born right now or 1 to 10 or something like that, have a really good chance of seeing the end of what was the United States of America, because you could feel the roller coaster going over the cliff.
Of course. And like, you know, how long can this last? I mean, we've been who we were since we pretty much started. We got really fucking, you know, these people wanted their freedom. They got really lucky that it was on the other side of the world, sandwiched between Canada and Mexico. So it's like the most secure. You pretty much like can put it in outer space. You know what I mean? It's not like they're getting attacked from the north from, you know, Russia, you know, or whatever. And, just got lucky, and just like fucking Rome fell, you know what I mean? All these big empires fall. We can't, from the beginning of its birth to forever, not gonna happen.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Rome is a great example. You know, like that was an empire for much longer than the United States has been.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to look at the United States as an empire, you know, which we're bred to look at it that way because we're from the United States, and they just lie to us in school and tell us that this is the greatest country ever and all that shit. But
it's just the way it came about. You know what I mean? It was like a big conquering.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, as far as a world power goes, the United States is definitely the top of that.
Yeah.
You know,
we made it our business.
Right. And that cannot sustain.
Right.
Historically, it cannot sustain, and it won't sustain.
It's like even the bully gets punched in the face by the little scrapper every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, it's just, it's going sooner or later, you know, there's a lot
It's like Hulk Hogan.
Okay. How is it like Hulk Hogan?
Everything goes to wrestling. You gotta understand that. Life, music, everything
right.
eventually goes to wrestling.
I thought rhythm is life, and life is rhythm.
It is.
Oh, wait, before you tell everybody how the United States is like Hulk Hogan, which I cannot wait to hear.
You could just think and know.
I want to say that there's a recording out there of you and your brother doing regulators.
I wish I had.
You don't have it anymore?
No, it got lost. It got lost that year. We started circling it around because it was such a mind fuck.
All right. There was a tape, and it was like the fucking...
When you go to Great Adventure and you do the karaoke and they record you like you're a superstar.
Right. So Richie and his older brother did Regulators by Warren G. and the late Nate Dogg. Rest in peace. Smoke weed every day. And it was great, and we used to listen to it all the time. But the jewel of that was on the flip side was your younger brother, Joey, who, how old would he have been at the time?
He was 8 years old at the time.
Okay, 8-year-old Joe.
Oh, and who, by the way, the other day got engaged. So congratulations, Joseph.
Does Joey listen to the podcast?
Yes.
Oh, Joey. Yeah, I saw that. I liked it on Facebook. Congratulations. Your soon-to-be bride is beautiful, and I wish you guys the best of luck. But yeah. So on the flip side of that was little 8-year-old Joey doing "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana, and we would put this on at parties, and even parties were like we would go to parties and put it in the stereo. Like
people would stop and be like, "What is it?"
Yeah, and then we'd flip it around and just be this little kid like, "With the lights out!" It was the best fucking shit.
People would be like, "How do I get this?"
Okay, you're not getting out of it though. How is the United States like Hulk Hogan?
All right, it's simple. All right, you got Hulk Hogan. From the jump, he was Hulk Hogan. He was the real American hero. They made him champion. There was no other icon in the world of professional wrestling than Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
He was
the biggest.
He was the true American. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins. Everyone loved him. He was this big superpower in wrestling. That
I had the wristbands.
You thought Hulk Hogan was going to just always be the champion. It's like, who's going to beat Hulk Hogan? Like, if he starts hulking out, who's going to avoid the leg drop? You know what I mean? You don't get up from the leg drop, you know? And the idea of Hulk Hogan getting beat as a champion, you never cared. You know, it's like, oh, who's going to be the new Intercontinental Champion? Or who's going to win the tag team bout? Yeah, Mr. Perfect or Tito Santana.
Right.
Or the Macho Man.
Right.
But the world champion was always the Hulkster. But even the Hulkster got to go down. You know what I mean? Like, time went on and people, the new age started coming. You know what I mean? Hogan started crumbling. You know, he did some other shit for a while.
He turned into Hollywood Hogan.
That's right, with the spray-on beard.
You're trying to say that we're going to turn into the Hollywood United States of America?
I think we've already turned into Hollywood Hogan.
Actually, that's a really good point. I think we're in the Hollywood Hogan years of the United States right now.
And then our knees are going to start buckling. And we're going to start taking way too much drugs.
And then we're going to say the N-word in public, and everyone's going to start hating us.
And that's going to be
And then our wife's going to leave us because we fucking cheated on
and
somebody.
Get hosed.
Yeah, it's exactly what's going to go on.
No, I told you. It's
wow, you know what? You've totally sold me on the fact that fucking one hit and I'm out. Fucking oh. All right. Look, I don't know if I'm comfortable with you doing audio cues. This is the second time. But yes, you have I thought you were pointing to the vape pen. But
it was.
I think you've explained it perfectly. I think that's the way that it goes.
When it popped in there, I was like, wow, that is a really good analogy.
Don't Barry Horowitz your fucking self.
We need to come up with a Barry Horowitz clip.
So would Andre the Giant be Russia? No, Andre the Giant would be Germany then. When fucking the United States came in, lifted Germany above its head when no one else thought that it could, and then body slammed it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Right.
And the whole Iron Sheik. Well, that was his first enemy, was the Iron Sheik. But shit, flip it in reverse if you want.
Yeah, and then I guess the Brooklyn Brawler might be like Vietnam, where like you probably shouldn't have been fighting him in the first place, and nobody really knows if you won or not. But we're not going to talk about that match anymore.
Why the Brooklyn Brawler beat the whole?
No, I don't know. I was just the first jobber I could think of.
But the Warrior, I will never forget. That was the pinnacle of WWF. No doubt about it. When the Ultimate Warrior, took both titles from the Hulkster.
Oh yeah, I remember
when was
that.
wrestling better than that?
He had the Intercontinental and the Heavyweight.
Yeah,
and
that was WrestleMania 6.
Actually,
that was the high point.
What year was WrestleMania 6?
I'm going to go with 90, 91 maybe, but I'm going to go with 90.
That makes sense because I think that in my life at that point, I watched that. I saw him on the turnbuckles holding the belts, and I think I turned off the TV and I was like, "Yep, I'm never going to watch wrestling again." I'm pretty sure that I ended at that point in wrestling.
Yeah, but dude, think about it. I think it was Hulkster, Warrior as the main event. Then I think for the Intercontinental, it was Mr. Perfect, Brutus the Barber. And then for tag team, it had to be Heart Foundation and Demolition.
Right.
Or maybe the Road or Legion of Doom or whatever. But that was definitely the peak. Like, Rowdy was beefing with either Rick Rude or fucking Bad News Brown.
Bad News Brown was the best.
He brought the hoe downstage.
He was fucking great. You know what? Wrestling and football are the same thing with me. When older people talk about them, I don't have any frame of reference because I know some cats that are.
What do you mean by that?
So like I watched wrestling when I was younger, and I I didn't watch football, but I knew everybody, you were a kid, you're trying to figure out what you like and stuff. But and I played video games, so I'd play football video games. Yeah. But then at a certain
Joe Montana Sports Talk.
Joe Montana, that's what I was gonna say. When somebody brings up football, I always say like I try to throw Joe Montana in because I feel like that's the only thing I know. And then when people bring up wrestling, I'm like, yeah, the Bushwhackers were cool. Like I don't.
Oh yeah, the Bushwhackers.
I don't fucking and they're like, no, CM Punk or whatever these new guys are.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that.
And you know what the weird thing about wrestling is I give Vince McMahon all the credit in the world because he's been able to do something that nothing else besides sports, besides football, baseball, hockey, basketball, no other entertainment, I don't believe, has been able to do. Is they took their core audience. He took their core audience, and for the most part, was able to keep their attention as they grew into middle age.
Yeah.
There's dudes that are 40 and 50 years old that watch wrestling the same way that they did when they were a kid watching Dino San Martino or something. You know what I mean? And that is a hard thing to do.
And not only that, the way that I think was part of how he did that was the wrestlers almost stick to trends of the day. Like the wrestlers will go along with the music trends. The wrestlers will go along with the fashion trends. The wrestlers will go along with the athletic trends.
Like when Diamond Dallas Page used "Smells Like Teen Spirit" but backwards when he came.
Is that what he did?
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, it was like literally because they knew they couldn't use Teen Spirit, so instead of like da 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 da, it was like da 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 da.
Really?
Yeah.
I like DDP.
I do too.
But if you think about it, just to break it down real simple, you got the 80s wrestlers. You got Aquanet. You got Teal fucking, not bondage, fucking like torn up kind of
the rockers.
Like weightlifter mixed with Florida dude.
Look, I got
heavy metal.
I got
Poison.
I got two words that could wrap all that up for any wrestling fan. Marty Jannetty.
Exactly. A lot of hairspray, and that kind of went along with the music and the fashion, that Venice Beach weightlifter dude type shit.
Yeah, and then that's where Hogan comes from. Yeah. Everyone's oiled down.
Yeah.
And even though there was that big Florida connection, Ric Flair and those dudes, even though, it was like that weird, we're on the beach too long.
Like Motley Crue meets fucking weightlifter.
Right, totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when you go into I think in wrestling they call it the Attitude Era, and that was like DX and fucking The Rock and Stone Cold.
I feel like we skipped over some shit there though, right?
No, it went from like those Hogan Warriors into Stone Cold.
Okay.
And Hunter Hearst Helmsley and them. That was considered the Attitude dudes where they were just like badasses, like almost like rap rock dudes, like My Way or the Highway. Like their theme songs were always like Disturbed and fucking Limp Bizkit. There'd be wrestling montages to Limp Bizkit.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't watch it then.
They always did that shit.
They're like, time goes right out the window.
Yeah,
like
totally. And then, it almost goes into what we have now where it's, it's almost just entertainment. Like I said before, 90s rap is to WWF, what today's entertainment hip hop is to WWE,
and Hulk Hogan is to what the United States of America. Yes. And it's just it does all work out. But I like the fact that you just skirted around what wrestling is now, because I know the reason that you tried to get out of that is because number one, you don't know what wrestling is now, and number two, you don't know what music is now. So there's no way.
It's just crap.
I saw your brain disconnect there, and I saw you go like, how am I going to get out of this? Because I can't tie a fucking bow on this. That's okay. I don't know what either is now.
It kind of went good, Dev, until you exposed the shit out of me.
I guess it's like, you know what? I was going to say CM Punk because that's the last thing I remember. I remember that name.
Recent champion, I think.
I remember that name. No, but I don't.
Brock Lesnar.
I don't think he wrestles anymore. That's what I'm saying. That's how far out of it.
Oh, shit. Then I have no idea. Yeah. The Miz. The dude from the real world is a wrestler. Like, that's how cheesy it is, you know?
Well, dude, I know guys that are my age and older that love wrestling. Yeah. They love it.
If you love it, you love it.
No, yeah, and I got no problems with it. Yeah. Whatever. But I just at a certain point,
those dudes are really breaking their necks and shit.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like, it's definitely serious entertainment, no doubt about it. I just missed the glory days. I think to me that's more entertaining. Partially because of the commentators. I think, if you put
Gene Okerlund. Oh, no, he wasn't a commentator.
No, I'm talking. Yeah, the commentators. I'm talking like if you put Jesse the Body with Gorilla Monsoon, with Tony Schiavone, with There was one other guy, whatever. You put those guys on the mic during a match, that match is going to be 10 times more fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know.
What about the King?
I love the way fucking Jesse the Body would rip on the Warrior, and like he loved Rick Rude. Remember, he was just so like out there. It was great.
Well, because they set that. Did they do? I don't even know if they do that anymore. Because they set in the same way
one to like the villains, one to like the baby.
there was a
face.
face and a heel.
Yeah.
And in the announcers, they also had to have a face and a heel.
It's exactly what they did.
Right. And Jesse was always the heel, and he was great at it.
So good at it.
But who the King, Jerry Lawler?
Yeah.
Does he still do it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Because he was a heel too. He was always into
yeah.
And you had to like defend the
And sometimes Bobby the Brain did it too.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then there always be the one they were like when the manager like slipped the cane into the ring. They'd be like, I didn't see that. Did
That's
you guys
the
see
best.
that? Yeah,
That
no,
is
you're
the
right.
best, man.
I don't know if they still do that bit, and it's the same thing as now in wrestling. I don't believe that. I think a lot of people just use their names. Like if you were like in Madison,
You're just a dude.
Imagine being in Madison Square Garden and fucking it's like it's WWE
Coming out as
Raw
Richard Giordano.
and fucking there's fireworks going off and like and it's like ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen, Devin Ferry. Everyone would be like, what? And I think that's what happens now.
Yeah, I'd much rather be Mr. Perfect.
I remember when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the Ultimate Warrior, as we all were. Of
course.
And I wanted to dress up like him for Halloween. But for some reason, I didn't want to be the Ultimate Warrior. I wanted to be my own wrestling character.
You wanted to be the Dingo Warrior.
That's exactly. Why are you taking the punchlines?
Why? Is that the truth?
Yeah. You know that because you were there.
No, I had no idea where you were going with that.
That was.
I don't remember you ever being the Ultimate Warrior for Halloween.
I have pictures.
I was joking.
Yeah.
Oh
Well, where'd
my
you come
God.
up with Dingo Warrior?
Because I know that's a wrestler, and you said you didn't want to be the Ultimate Warrior, and I was fucking around.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a role. I thought I came up with my own shit.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Turn the page when you hear the sound.
Fuck! Why am I a ripoff?
Wait, you think
I am
you,
Amy
you
Schumer.
think you made up Dingo Warrior?
Maybe it wasn't Dingo Warrior then. I gotta refer to the pictures.
Oh,
I gotta
God,
fucking.
if you think you made that up, that would be the funniest. That's way funnier than the other thing. The other thing's not even funny. This is funny.
who was the Dingo Warrior?
He was like the Ultimate Warrior when he was in a different wrestling alliance.
So it was the Warriors. The same thing, right?
Yeah. But supposedly there was two different warriors.
Yeah, you
one
know
guy,
what?
but I never seen a difference.
Maybe-
it was always Jim Hellwig.
Yeah, and they all of them had the fucking shit that you hang
The
from
tassels,
your bicycle handles.
and even the same, makeup, the same thing.
You know what? Maybe I wasn't the Dingo Warrior. Maybe
That
that
would
was
be
some
so
weird
funny.
thing that came up. But anyway, I dressed up.
You and the Ultimate actually have the same thought of who your alter ego is to be.
Whatever. Anyway, I came up with a fake name and I walked around. Everyone's like, Ultimate Warrior, cool. And I was just like, nope, not Ultimate Warrior. Like, I was so excited to be whatever wrestling
different
thing.
warrior.
It wasn't a dingo. I didn't even know what a dingo was when I was
God,
8
that
years old.
kills it. You're like, how'd you know? How'd you know I was going dingo?
Anyway, you ever hit a cervix? Because you got to go left or right.
Ever hit the dingo?
Fucking, how do we get on wrestling? I'm sorry.
I don't know, but it's the best because I still haven't seen the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts, which I really want to see.
Right.
It looks so funny, so good, but like it could get boring. But that part where he comes out all wasted, he can't stand up, and they're all like heckling him and shit, and he goes, "Shut the hell up." And everyone's like, I thought you shut up. It's the funniest one. Like, that's the biggest error. You know what I mean? You come out and the crowd's heckling, you be your character. Don't be like, will you let the man talk? Shut the hell up. He can't even stand up. He's like sitting on the second turnbuckle with the mic like this and his guts hanging out and shit. And he's like, you know who I am? Don't fuck with me. Trust me.
I know. I'm looking forward to seeing that too.
Yeah.
You know what? I said,
He eats the snake. He's all fucking, what? Eating it.
Damien?
Damien's been squished by Yokozuna. He moved on to Lucifer, and it's got to be a new snake. If he even wields the snake.
Jake the Snake always has a snake.
Diamond Dallas carries it for him. Have you even seen the trailer?
I have not seen the trailer.
Dude, Diamond Dallas Page is so little. You don't even know it's him. Like, you'll be like, oh, that's him. And then you'll see him again and be like, no, He's
Okay.
so small, it's hilarious.
Is he throwing the diamond cutter on people?
Definitely not, because I didn't know this, but when he like started wrestling, supposedly he was like, I can't do it, I'm too old. And Jake the Snake is the one that like gave him the nudge, and he was 35 years old when he started wrestling.
Really?
So when he was champion, he was well into his 40s.
Excuse me, I'm gonna go throw on a fucking leotard right now. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that'd be like us
that's-
wrestling.
It would be if we started wrestling right now.
And we became WWF champion.
Dude, I've been fucking working out. You want to bring the Rockers back or something like that? I'll be Marty
That would be
Jannetty.
the best thing. If I was going to be a tag team, I definitely want to be the Hart Foundation. I love that tag team. I think that is the coolest tag team ever.
I don't want to be the Hart Foundation though,
Why?
because you would be Brett and I would have to be Jim.
I want to be Jim.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to be him.
All right, if I could be Brett, minus the cancer he's got now. Or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah, he's got-
If I could be old school Brett,
He's got
I would.
cancer, the prick.
I hope anybody listening to the Awkward High Five podcast right now. We just said before that we don't know wrestling, and now all we've talked about.
I
is
know
wrestling.
everything. Well, I know everything about, let's say, circa 87 to 91.
That is true.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where my wrestling.
Yeah,
knowledge-
that's what I'm saying. 90, 91, I was like 10, 11 years old.
yeah.
And then,
you
yeah.
found out what pussy was, then you never watched wrestling again.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you know what? That's not to act like I'm fucking like mature, because that's definitely not true.
I know, but
you know
just-
what I mean?
it was a
I
choice.
played
Like,
a role playing
you're-
game on PlayStation the other night. I'm about to be 36.
But that's what I'm saying. You got a lot of things in your life, and then girls come into your life, so you got to sacrifice something for that. So it's like the lowest thing on the totem pole is wrestling. So you just fucking sacrifice wrestling. You're not going to sacrifice like hanging out with your friends or fucking playing video games or anything else. You're going to sacrifice fucking wrestling.
Yeah. Like, all right, I'll
It's
see.
like one. You got to get.
Yeah.
Get rid of one thing to get something.
You're like looking at a girl's tits or brother love. And you're like,
Yeah. Or brother loves tits.
There's a friend of mine. I get, it's hard. I don't want to use names. Anyway, the whole point is there's a friend of mine. And she's actually a pretty popular musician now and doing very well and everything. And I'm on, seeing her on Instagram and all this stuff. And I guess she's getting married to a dude who's like the lead singer of a band. See, I've given up way too much information. But and I don't know the band and I don't know the guy only, and every time she refers to him, she calls him Brother Love.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's weird. Like, does this guy not know that he ripped off some red-faced maniac from fucking WWF?
Does he come back and
in the
say,
day?
"Thank you, brothers and sisters"? My guest this, and you know who it always was, because no one else wanted to come on the Brother Love show.
Oh, it was fucking
Say it.
the son of a plumber.
No,
Dusty
it's
Rhodes?
So obvious. No, maybe he was, but to me, it's Jake the Snake Roberts. Because when I think of Brother Love, I hear my guest this week, Jake the Snake Roberts. Always.
I think of Dusty Rhodes because I remember him going on when fucking Sapphire left him and he was just going, "Oh, sweet Sapphire, oh my sweet Sapphire." Oh no, it wasn't when she left him. It was when Ted DiBiase like took her because he collected slaves.
I was just gonna say that he made her his slave.
Yeah, because
I bought her off with this Pez.
that was the thing at that time. It was okay to show slavery on television because he had Virgil. And then he took
But then
Sapphire.
Virgil fought back for civil rights, remember?
Yeah, right. Man, wrestling used to be fucking good.
Yeah, seriously. Once Virgil fought back for civil, I think that's when I stopped watching wrestling.
Well, that's the Italian in you.
I know.
Speaking of, I think last episode I talked about how I started watching The Sopranos.
Yeah.
This new television show out called The Sopranos that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah.
I started watching it. And it's become my sleep show, which is out of the normal because normally my sleep shows are half-hour sitcoms, which boil down to 22 minutes without commercials. I already know them, and I could go to sleep to.
Yeah.
But this show I've been watching just to watch it while I go to sleep, and I'm enjoying it. I think I'm in like season 3 now. But what I wanted to say was I was thinking about this while I was watching it because I'm so far removed from it. I remember a life pre-Sopranos and I remember a life post-Sopranos.
Yeah.
And we live where we grew
Because
up.
when The Sopranos was on, I don't remember it being something that I even watched.
It was
watched
big.
more Sopranos after The Sopranos.
It had the same trajectory, I think, as like Breaking Bad did, where it came on and it started getting really good critical reviews, but nobody was really watching it. And then by like the 3rd or 4th season,
Yeah.
everybody had jumped on it.
Right.
And then by the end of it, like the 5th or 6th season, everybody was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Right? And I see why. It's a great show.
Most good shows do that.
Yeah. But that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say was, I was thinking about how The Sopranos changed the way that people speak. And it might not be all over the United States, but I know here in New Jersey, where we're living, and north of here, there was people, like men, who became obsessed with the Sopranos, and they might.
So you think the Goomba population has increased,
right? Or fake Goombas,
right?
Let me say that. You know what I mean? But but the whole hey, oh, the gabagool, like that thing, wasn't as big as it was until after the Sopranos.
I think you're just noticing it more.
No,
I feel like that's Jersey all the way.
No, right, and that has been. I'm not saying that there wasn't people before that. What I'm saying is that after that, people that wouldn't have talked that way kind of started talking that way.
That's a definite possibility.
Right. Yeah. And no, I know that to be true because I know
someone,
people.
You someone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I
got kaputs on you.
and then I started thinking, that, or okay, do you remember when we were in high school? It wasn't high school.
Sopranos came out in like '99, so it had to be college.
Yeah, right. It was after that.
College was Sopranos.
Everyone started doing the thing of out of nowhere. Everyone started doing this thing of you would say somebody's name, ask a question, and then say their name again. Like that came from that.
I don't know what you mean by that.
So I'd be like, Richie, what direction you go into when you hit a cervix, Richie? You don't remember that?
That makes no bells go off.
Really?
In my
People
mind,
did that forever, and that was one of those things. Anyway.
That's crazy. I never heard that ever.
Anyway. I think Kevin Smith even did a joke about it in one of his movies.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway. That's not what I'm talking about. What I was talking about is that I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, this might be probably one of the most influential television shows of all time because not only was it giant and everybody loved it and it was great and it actually started this new renaissance of television, but also like socially, it changed the way people spoke, which is very powerful, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't agree with that?
I don't see many people that have made this transition.
I'm telling you.
I believe you.
Like I worked.
I just have no personal reference.
I worked for my first boss when I started working after college at 23 years old. It was like I don't even know if he was Italian. He was probably just like some Jewish dude. Yeah. And he had a framed picture of The Sopranos in his office, and he was like, "Hey, oh."
That's just weird, though.
But I guarantee you, this motherfucker did not talk like that before the show.
I guarantee it too. But that is very strange.
Right. But here's what I'm saying. I started thinking, is there any other shows?
I don't think that's a common occurrence. That's too out there.
I think it amplified it, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like people heard that, they were like, "This is a cool way to talk," and they started kind of adapting.
I gotcha.
It,
okay,
right?
That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But then here's the thing.
I was thinking two Sopranos.
No,
that's what I was thinking.
And I started thinking, is there any other show out there that actually changed the way that people talked and acted, right? And if anybody at home listening to this has any other observations, you let us know.
Wow, there's probably a bunch because I feel like there's one really big one.
Yeah, there's one really big one, and that's what I want to ask you. Do you know what that is?
It's like right on the tip of my brain. As soon as you said that, I was like, "Wow, there is." Wow.
I'll give you a couple seconds.
Just give me a little teeny clue because I know it. I just need a little kick in the ass because I thought of it and it like zipped past my head. And I'm like, that's not. I was like, people pretty much say this shit, talk like this all the time. For some reason,
here's some thinking music.
This isn't a show that changed the way people talk, but I think Adam Sandler had a big effect on the way people talk. You know, not TV show wise, but TV show wise. I'm not going to get it with Baby Elephant Walk.
You got and this is Powerhouse, dude.
Dev, I'm not going to this is too much pressure.
Do you give up?
Yeah, I give up.
Are you ready?
I want to know.
Beavis and Butthead.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It fucking changed the way that a whole fucking generation of kids.
Yeah.
And we were... And
even like older metalheads.
Yeah, right. like how could... And then I...
Damn...
I started thinking about this when I was thinking about The Sopranos, and I thought about that, and I was like, how did that happen? Because nobody would watch Beavis and Butthead and be like, I want to talk like those dudes.
Right.
But I think what it was...
really infectious.
I think it was very infectious. Obviously, it was a genius show, very funny. Everybody liked it. But I think what it was is it kind of gave the okay to... And in the same way that I've said this before, that I started calling myself Deb Dog as a joke to act like I was
made it acceptable.
Yeah, right. I started at a certain point in my life. I started just as a joke, started calling myself Deb Dog, and then over the years, that's just become me calling myself Deb Dog. Right?
You kind of ease into it.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened with Beavis and Butthead. Is first everyone was just doing their Beavis and Butthead impersonation, and then sooner or later, people just started talking like that because we were.
Like 13,
right? Which you would have thought that we would have been impressionable then, but we didn't talk like Beavis.
No, it was the generation below
right?
us.
Yeah, it was the kids that like your brother's age, my brother's age.
Oh God, I hated hearing that.
Yeah,
I hated it.
And
thank God that didn't last because I don't think new kids just talk like wanksters now. They all think they're black.
What's a wankster?
I don't know. Like they want to be gangster.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't even know that. But
because I didn't want to go wigger. But I ended up saying it anyway.
Wigger's a 90s term.
I know, but I love it. Fucking wiggers.
What would you call the Soprano guys then? If you want to be an Italian, what is that called? Italian?
I have no idea.
Wadio. Yeah. It's me, Wadio.
A wop. A wannabe wop.
Yeah, well, wop's an actual thing though.
Yeah, but a wop.
Anyway, what were we saying?
I have no idea.
Yeah, right. We totally lost that.
No
but yeah.
But yeah, Beavis and Butthead. I think that it's the generation, not ours, even though we watched the shit out of it, but we didn't think going around going, was a cool way to talk. The generation below us, they were all fucking, and dude, I hate it.
And also, there's nothing worse in this world. I think that we can all agree that there's nothing worse than a teenage boy. It's just the worst thing
awkward
in the world.
Like an ostrich.
And when I was
if I went back and saw the ostrich self of me, I would want to punch it in the fucking face.
Yeah, sometimes I see pictures, even pictures of our early band when we were like 14, 15.
All
sometimes
pubescent.
Yeah, sometimes I see that. And I'm like, but
girls don't do that. Girls are just always just girls. Guys go through the ostrich.
Yeah, you just get
You
weird.
become an ostrich.
Yeah.
Or like an aardvark. It's like some weird ass animal for
Choose one. A duck-billed platypus. You become a duck-billed platypus.
Some random animal for at least 6 months of your life, and then you grow out of it. You get a couple zits, and it's over.
When I was selling guitars, at a certain point, I was on
Craig Daniels.
I was on the floor all the time, and I would come in, and I'm like a 25, 26-year-old dude, and a mom would always come in with their son, which would be
an ostrich,
an ostrich, an aardvark, a duck-billed platypus,
like bad posture and shit. Just like, I don't care, ma.
Yeah, and they'd be wearing like a fucking Coed and Cambria shirt or something, and I felt with them because I knew the awkwardness. Like I saw it; they had the bowl haircut. I was there.
But were we that awkward?
We were. Everybody was.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember being an ostrich.
When James motherfucking Dean was 13 years old, he was.
I know. Like I know there was something, but I know I was.
And I mean the actor.
I know I was looking ostrich and goofy in some way, but I don't remember ever being like withdrawn from society where it's like, I don't care, ma. You know what I mean? I remember being like in the moment at least.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
I was never withdrawn and kind of like I hated everything. I mean, I hated everything with volume. Like these kids are just quiet, or they used to be. It was like that weird generation where they carried around lunch boxes.
Oh, next motherfucker's gonna get my medal.
The lunchbox kids were always quiet.
But here's the thing. Here's what I wanted to say is that I would say, they would come in and I'd say, hi, what's up? And they'd be like, we're looking to get little Johnny his first guitar. And I'd be like, oh, that's awesome, man. And I would look at him and it's not like I was some older guy, at that point I was still playing in bands. I probably looked weird or whatever. And
he looked at you like, pfft.
No. And I would say to him, and this is not just one person. This has happened multiple times where I'd be like, hey man, like, what kind of music are you into? And they would look into my eyes and just look at the floor.
Yeah.
And not say anything.
Floor lookers.
Yeah. And not
Mad
say anything.
Lookers.
And then I would have to turn to the mom and be like, what kind of music does he listen to? And that was the same thing. I was like,
do you remember ever being like that? I sure as hell don't.
I do remember being very brooding. I was very brooding when I was young.
I don't remember that. I even everyone we hang out, I never remember anyone like shy or afraid to speak into someone's eyes or talk. I feel like we always spoke with adults and hung out with older people, and like I don't remember ever being like, Kicking rocks?
Well, I know that I was a very shy person. I still suffer with shyness.
Maybe if you're talking like elementary school.
No, I was a shy kid, man. I've always been a shy kid. I'm still a shy adult. I like when you get to know me, like, yes, I could go into the city and do stand up. I could talk on this podcast. I could get in front of a crowd and play music and whatever. But if I go into a party and I don't know people there, I'm
that's natural.
I'm a very
though.
shy. Well, that's the same
That's
thing.
natural.
I'm a very shy person.
You're not going to walk in somewhere where you don't know on a unicycle just juggling fire because then you'd be a douchebag.
No. What I'm saying is that it takes me a long time to warm up to people, and I've been like that my whole life, so I understand that. But I remember being a brooding kid, like when I was young, when I was like 11 years old, or like 12 years old, and we were getting into like punk rock and Nirvana and all that shit.
That was a great time.
Yeah, it was a great time. But I don't know for sure. I would like to think that I gave adults around me respect and talked to them and looked them in the eyes. But if I had to put money on it, I probably was the floor looker.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember you as a floor looker.
Well, that's because we're best friends. So
yeah,
you
hung
get
out every day.
Yeah.
So I never remember you looking at a floor.
That's because you get the better side of me.
I'm talking about from a third person point of view.
Well, I don't know.
I've never seen you shy down to anybody in my life.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you're talking maybe young, yeah, but I'm not like older.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Whatever. Maybe like you said, maybe it's because maybe if I was around, things are different.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. But anyway, I don't even know how we started on that. But Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about Hulk Hogan.
So the fact that a cartoon on MTV changed the way that people talked for a whole generation is pretty crazy.
It really is.
And like you think about the biggest shows in the world. Like what's the biggest right off the top?
Seinfeld.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
So Seinfeld. Well, actually. Maybe Seinfeld kind of changed the way that people, not the way that people talk. Well, because
some people would be like, "Yeah, I'm in, baby."
Or definitely catchphrases. I mean, yada yada yada. Everyone still says that. Our friend Tom, who was on the podcast 2 or 3 of them ago, he says yada 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 all the time.
Yeah.
He ends every sentence in it, and that came straight from there. And like the catchphrases, like the close talker and the fucking blah 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 and all that shit.
Yeah, nicknames for people and shit.
But I still don't think that changed the cadence of the way that somebody talks.
No, definitely not. Unless you're doing some stupid Kramer impression,
You know what the worst thing is the shows that came after Seinfeld that tried to do that. Like, I know 2 off the top of my head that for sure were that stupid How I Met Your Mother or whatever. And then that show The League, which I actually kind of like.
I like The League.
I liked The League.
I think that's fun. Well, how is that Seinfeld-esque?
Because both of those shows try to come up with terms and then push those terms. So it'll be like somebody will walk in the house and they'll have like wet shoes and I'll be like, "What's he, a wet shoe walker?" And they're like, "He's a wet shoe walker."
But you want to know one thing I did pick up from The League is meaty clackers. I love the chance to call someone's balls meaty clackers.
But that's what I'm saying. They did that on purpose.
I know.
You see what I'm saying? So,
they pushed the shit out of meaty clackers.
Yeah.
To the point where I found meaty clackers being socially acceptable.
But that was totally on design because of Seinfeld. They're like, we want to be our own Seinfeld, so we're going to come up with terms. And I never really watched How You Met Your Mother, but the couple ones that I saw did the same thing, where it's like somebody would come in and they'd be like, like fucking, I don't know, like they'd have a red nose and they'd be like, "What's he, one of those red noses?" And you're like, that's not even funny. At least the Seinfeld stuff made sense, but
and it was a different time.
Right.
It's so weird how things go along with the times, It's almost like, you look back at something and you're like, "Oh, it went along with the times," but it's almost just like that was just it. Because you're just looking back on it and that's just what happened at that time. It's not like it went along with shit.
Yeah.
You're basing the time on that. You're not saying that happened because of the time,
Yeah, right. Or it's like when you look at a picture of yourself when you were 10 years younger and you're like, why the fuck was I wearing that? Like, and
10 years ago, that was the fucking jam.
Back then, and even not being trend people, like I would say safely that me and you aren't people that go along with like trends. So it's not like,
I think Cavaricci was the last time I succumbed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But even that, like, same thing. It's like it goes in a separate direction. Where like I would look at myself where I thought I was being different and shit, and I'd be like, what is going on there? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a strange thing.
Yeah, whatever. We're gonna fucking
Wrap her up.
break out of here. Thank you for listening to the Friday edition of the Awkward High
I
Five
think that was a
Podcast.
knowledgeable episode. We broke through a lot of walls there.
We have a trend going on, and I'm kind of don't even want to say it because I don't know if it's going to stay that way. But
I think it's obvioso.
it seems like we do a serious episode. Well, for the most part, serious episode on Tuesday, and then Friday is kind of a let loose,
Cut a little
talk
loose,
about everything
yeah.
kind of episode. But if you're on Twitter, please follow us at AwkwardHI5. That's the number 5 on Twitter, so we could talk about stuff. You could tell us what direction you go on cervixes. If there's any other television shows out there that change the way people talk or anything like that, we could just have conversations.
If anybody wants to show a picture of their Ziggy nose, feel
Right.
free. We're
Let
not
us know.
judgmental.
You could you could send us private
We
pictures.
might send you a prize.
And if you go on iTunes, subscribe, and leave a written review, because once we get 100 written reviews, we're going to throw a party, and everyone's going to be invited, and Richie's going to eat a fucking...
Ziggy nose.
Ziggy nose and a goldfish, and he's going to wear women's underwear and jump into a puddle of cum, and everything else that he's ever talked about on this podcast. So, anyway, thank
Do
you
it
for
all
listening.
once.
We will see you in a few short days.
With love, with bread, wanna smoke you up. Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more payless, wanna smoke you up. Hitting my best and my love. Surrounded by seeds, I'm lost in the trees. My thirst and hunger seem to increase.
Thanks for listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. For more episodes, visit awkwardhigh5.com.